What's up, Celtics Nation? Man, there's a lot to unpack today, so let's dive straight into it. The first game of the season is in the books, and honestly, it was one of those nights that leaves you shaking your head. You could feel the energy at the Garden from the tip, the anticipation, the buzz. Everyone wanted to see how this new-look Boston team would come out swinging. And to be fair, they started off strong. The ball was moving, the defense was locked in early, and it looked like this group was ready to make a statement. But then, as we've seen too many times before, the fourth quarter came around, and everything fell apart. Look, I don't want to overreact. It's game 1 of 82. There's a long way to go. But still, it's tough to walk away from that one without a little frustration. For most of the night, the Celtics played like a team that was figuring itself out. They came out of the gates well, took a small lead after the first quarter, and then kind of lost their rhythm in the second. Philly punched back, and Boston went in a halftime down 5. No big deal, right? Third quarter starts, and the Celtics turn it up defensively. They completely smothered the Sixers, holding them to just 18 points while outscoring them by nearly 20. That's when it felt like, okay, this is the moment. They're finally putting their stamp on the game. But then the fourth quarter happened, and it was brutal. To give up 42 points in that final stretch after controlling most of the second half, it's unacceptable. And yeah, Joel Embiid barely played. He looked totally out of rhythm, not himself at all. You'd think that would give Boston a massive advantage, but it didn't. The backcourt just couldn't keep up. Tyrese Maxey absolutely went off, dropping 40 points on 13 for 24 shooting. He was hitting everything, pull-ups, step-backs, even tough threes with a hand in his face. And if that wasn't enough, rookie VJ Edgecombe decided to make his first ever NBA game look like a showcase event, pouring in 34 points of his own. The kid played fearless basketball. It didn't matter who the Celtics threw at him. He just kept attacking, especially in the fourth when the game was on the line. Together, those two guards combined for 74 points. 74. That's the kind of number that tells you exactly where the problems were. Defensively, Boston's perimeter containment was just not there. Derek White, Peyton Pritchard, Anthony Simons, it didn't matter who was matched up. The Sixers guards were getting downhill whenever they wanted, and once that started happening, everything broke down. You could see the rotations getting late, the rim protection stretched too thin, and guys just chasing instead of anticipating. It's the kind of defensive collapse that used to define some of the worst Celtics losses from past seasons, and it's not something you want to see back this early. Now, to be fair, there were positives. Nemi Quetta looked solid in his minutes, finishing 7 for 8 from the field with 17 points and 8 boards. He gave some energy inside, even if his defense wasn't perfect. Jaylen Brown had a decent stat line, 25 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, but you could tell he wasn't quite as aggressive as fans wanted him to be. Maybe the hamstring issue that kept him questionable all day had him holding back a little. Still, if he's out there, he's got to set the tone. When Brown is assertive, everything opens up for everyone else. Derek White worked hard on both ends, but the shot wasn't falling consistently. 4 for 13 from deep isn't terrible for volume, but it's not what you need when your team shoots only 25% from beyond the arc. Pritchard struggled mightily too, 1 for 7 from 3, and that's been a bit of a trend since the end of preseason. The Celtics as a team went 11 for 43 from deep. That's not going to cut it in today's NBA, especially when the Sixers shot 40% from long range. It's hard to win games when your opponent is knocking down everything and you're just hoping something drops. Still, I think what makes this loss sting isn't just the numbers, it's the way it happened. The Celtics had this game under control after halftime. They had Philly on the ropes, and instead of closing it out, they let go of the rope again. That's been a recurring issue for years. The inability to finish strong. The moment things get tight, the ball stops moving, and suddenly it's all isolation plays and rush jumpers. That's when opponents smell blood. When you look at the assist numbers, it tells the whole story. 16 assists total for the Celtics. That's it. The Sixers had 23. That difference might not sound huge, but it's massive when you realize how stagnant Boston looked late. It's hard to win when your offense becomes predictable. There were too many possessions where it was just one pass and then a contested shot. And for all the talk about improving the ball movement and finding balance, this felt like a step backward. And man, the rebounding battle. Sure, technically Boston won at 42-40, but it didn't feel like that made a difference. The energy on the glass was inconsistent. Philly got second-chance points when they needed them, and the Celtics didn't punish them enough inside. It wasn't for lack of effort from some guys. Tillman, for example, gave great hustle minutes and grabbed 7 boards, but it never felt like Boston controlled the paint. The frustrating thing is that this team actually looked fun for stretches. They played with pace, moved the ball, got everyone involved early. You can tell there's a lot of potential here. They've got underdog vibes, that nobody believes in us energy that makes you want to root for them. But if they're going to turn that into wins, the defense has to tighten up. You can't let opposing guards drop 70+ on you and expect to win. You just can't. Now, before anyone hits the panic button, it's one game. There are 81 left. This isn't the time to make wild declarations about the season. But it's also fair to expect better execution down the stretch, especially at home. The fans showed up, the building was loud, and they deserve to see this team finish the job. The good news is that there's time to fix it. The bad news is that the next matchup isn't going to be any easier. They've got the Knicks up next, and if Tyrese Maxey and VJ Edgecombe gave them problems, you better believe Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges will test them too. That Knicks squad looked sharp last night, even missing Josh Hart and Mitchell Robinson. Brunson put up 23 and 5. OG Anunoby went off for 24 and 14, and Karl Anthony Towns added 19 and 11. They play physical. They crash the boards, and they'll punish you if your defense isn't disciplined. The Celtics can't afford another fourth-quarter collapse. It's early, but you don't want to start the season with that kind of narrative. So yeah, glass half full. There were flashes of what this team can be: fast-paced, balanced, gritty. Glass half empty. The same old issues showed up when it mattered most. Maybe it's just early season rust. Maybe it's chemistry that still needs time. But one thing's for sure. If this group wants to compete in the East, they can't be giving away games like that. Not when the margin for error is this small. It's only game 1, but man, it already feels like we've seen this movie before. The Celtics have the talent, the depth, and the drive to make noise this year. What they need now is consistency, the kind that wins close games, the kind that locks in defensively when it counts. We've seen the flashes. Now it's time to see the follow-through. And just when everyone thought that was the end of the drama for the night, the news hit. Right as the Celtics talk started to cool down, reports came in that former Boston guard Terry Rozier had been arrested in connection with an FBI investigation into illegal sports gambling. Yeah, you heard that right. It feels surreal even saying that out loud. Rozier, who carved out a cult following in Boston during that wild playoff run years ago, now caught up in something that could shake the entire league. According to early reports, this investigation isn't some small, isolated thing. It's part of a much broader probe stretching across multiple teams and players. It's crazy to think how fast this kind of thing can spiral. The league has been trying for years to walk this tightrope between embracing betting as a part of fan engagement and keeping players and personnel far away from it. But with all the money and exposure that comes with legalized gambling, it's not surprising that we're starting to see cracks in the system. It's not the first time this year the NBA's had to deal with something like this. Remember the situation with Jonte Porter? The guy was banned after reports came out that he had been tipping people off to his own game statuses so they could place bets on his unders. That was supposed to be the cautionary tale, the example of what not to do. And yet, here we are again, only a few months later, with a new name and a new scandal. Now, I want to be clear, none of the details are confirmed beyond the arrest itself. There's a press conference coming, and more will come to light soon. But it's already sending shockwaves through the league. And for Miami, this is a nightmare. Rozier was supposed to be a key piece for them this season. If these allegations hold up, not only do they lose a starter, but it could also have major salary cap implications. Some reports suggest that if the charges stick, his contract could come off their books, which ironically might give Miami a bit more financial breathing room. But that a dark silver lining to what's clearly an ugly situation. The weirdest part is how sudden it all feels. Rozier had been playing solid ball. Nothing about his demeanor or his play hinted at something like this brewing behind the scenes. And now, if these reports are accurate, It's not just about one player. It could open the door to a much larger investigation that touches other corners of the league. The NBA has worked hard to separate itself from even the perception of impropriety. So when a story like this breaks, it's not just about punishment. It's about credibility. And look, sports gambling has exploded over the last few years. It's everywhere now. Every broadcast, every highlight reel, every halftime show, it's all part of the culture. There's no going back from that. But there's a difference between fans placing bets and players or insiders being involved. The moment those lines blur, it threatens the very foundation of competition. Fans need to believe that what they're watching is pure, that no one's manipulating minutes or performances for personal gain. Once that trust cracks, it's hard to rebuild. It's wild to think back on how Rozier's story started. He went from a late first-round pick to a breakout playoff hero in Boston, earning that Scary Terry nickname after some clutch performances. Fans loved him. He played with energy, with swagger, like a guy who had something to prove every night. That kind of fire is what made people rally around him. So hearing his name tied to this kind of controversy hits differently. It's disappointing, confusing, and honestly kind of sad. Meanwhile, around the league, things kept moving. While the Celtics were dealing with their own frustrations and Rozier's story was breaking, there were some serious performances happening elsewhere. Victor Wembanyama put on a show, dropping 40 points with 15 rebounds and a few blocks for good measure as the Spurs completely dismantled their opponent. The kid is starting to look like he's not just the future, he's already here. Every time you watch him, it feels like you're seeing something new, something that doesn't even look real. That mix of length, coordination, and basketball IQ is terrifying for the rest of the league. Then there was Anthony Edwards doing Anthony Edwards things. 41 points, 7 rebounds, pure confidence from start to finish. He's stepping into that role as the face of Minnesota, and you can tell he knows it. Giannis was his usual unstoppable self. Zion looked sharp and explosive again, and Ja Morant reminded everyone why the Grizzlies are must-watch TV. When a young stars show out like that, it's hard not to get excited about where the league is headed. But before we continue, please remember to subscribe to the channel and give the video a like. Your support helps us keep bringing you the latest news about the Boston Celtics. Feel free to share your thoughts on the news in the comments as well. In a move that has sent shockwaves across the NBA, the Boston Celtics reportedly made one of the most audacious announcements in recent memory. LeBron James, the iconic superstar long associated with the Los Angeles Lakers, is allegedly heading to Boston. Sources close to the situation, who have asked to remain anonymous, describe the news as unbelievable and potentially historic, signaling a seismic shift in the balance of power within the league. The Celtics, already a formidable team with championship aspirations, would instantly gain a level of star power and experience that few franchises can rival. James, widely regarded as one of the greatest basketball players of all time, brings not only his legendary scoring and playmaking ability, but also leadership that has defined decades of Lakers success. The prospect of him donning green and white uniforms has left fans, analysts, and rivals alike scrambling to process the implications. While official confirmation remains elusive, insiders suggest that negotiations have been quietly ongoing for weeks. Some speculate that this could involve a blockbuster trade, while others hint at a more unconventional arrangement designed to shake up the league before the next season begins. The timing, coinciding with the Celtics' renewed push for a championship, suggests a meticulously calculated plan. Social media has erupted with speculation, memes, and debates. Celtic supporters are jubilant at the thought of pairing James with their current roster, imagining a team capable of dominating both the Eastern Conference and the playoffs. Lakers fans, conversely, are reeling from the possibility of losing their franchise's face to a historic rival, a scenario that would mark an unprecedented twist in NBA history. While nothing is officially finalized, the rumor alone has reinvigorated discussions about player loyalty, free agency power, and the ever-evolving landscape of professional basketball. One thing is certain: if LeBron James does make the leap to Boston, the NBA as we know it would never be the same again. For now, fans will watch, wait, and speculate as whispers of a Celtics-Lakers shakeup continue to dominate every corner of the basketball world. That's it for this update. If you enjoyed the video and want to keep receiving exclusive news about the Boston Celtics, please subscribe to our channel and give the video a like. We always appreciate your comments and opinions. See you in the next video.